It is Tiffany Gaines of the Secrets Podcast. Had to check my audio equipment to make sure I was in compliance with volumes and things like that. But it's Tiffany Gaines of the Secrets Podcast. It's been a minute since I've been on. I am working through some things, mindset, mentality, and spirit, and I am pushing forward through those things. This endeavor, starting a YouTube channel, has not been easy. I understand the commitment that it takes and definitely understand the accountability and the discipline that it takes working a full-time job and trying to get a channel started is a task, especially depending on what your full-time job is and what it requires of your mindset from 8 to 5, or in my instance 9 to 5. But you know, I am working on some things. I'm taking accountability, and I am going to effort to be more disciplined going forward. I am always seeking truth within myself. I am always looking for more knowledge and awareness about myself and how to improve and to eventually manifest the life that I want to have, the life that I um, am putting a lot of effort in right now. And in the spirit of accountability, I want to transition now to one of the two things I want to talk about. One of the two people I want to talk about. Now, um, I'm black. In case nobody knew that, that's not foundation. I'm black, African American, just plain old black for me. And while I'm married to a woman, um, beautiful wife, she's awesome. I just had a moment there. Forgive me. The one thing I love is my black brothers. I love black men. I think black men carry an essence that is indescribable. And the one thing I love about black men um, is when they ooze leadership, when they ooze sort of manly accountability, ownership, whether it's family, I'm accountable. I'm stepping up as a leader to take care of my family, whether that's in business, whether that's ownership and accountability over his own life, ownership and accountability to the people around him. I love the excellence that black men ooze. I do. And I just think they're like no other. I'm sorry. I'm a little biased. I love, excellence and accountability and manly features in all men. I do. I just think it's awesome. And I don't think there's anything like it. I think men are incredibly attractive creatures. Yes, I'm married to a woman, but my wife understands this, so y'all don't have to. We look at men together. I've said this before, but there is just an essence of a man that I think is irreplaceable. And I think the essence of black men, in my mind, just shines a little more. I just do. Two of my favorite black men, and one of my favorite black men I've talked about in a few podcasts, Draymond Green. And the reason he is one of my favorite black men is his effort to be accountable. His effort to be accountable. People who run from accountability, well, now this is just people. Now, I'm not just talking about men, but people who run from accountability drive me nuts, especially when they see themselves, especially when they know it's a place, an area, and a situation where they have to be accountable, right? And I feel like Draymond Green, regardless of his past antics, and I said past antics because I am claiming, based on what I've watched with his podcast recently, that he is in a place and a mindset and the spirit to do something different. We know Draymond Green right now is on indefinite suspension from the league because of his past antics on the basketball court, his overly flagrant means and ways in which he handles opponents on the basketball courts. Cheap shots, kicking in the groin, face slaps, choking, stomping, all of these things. His verbal berating of officials. All of these things have always bothered me about Draymond. But the one thing I've always loved about Draymond, with all of that, he's never run away from the mic after an ejection, after verbal berating after a suspension. He's not run from the questions. He answers them all. And I would think most of the time he's taking accountability. Well, I can't do that, um, or he's given some sort of, what's the word I want to use? I believe in general, Draymond understands that he's needed to do something different in the moment to be there and be available for his team and his teammates. Why he's not been able to control that, even with the Jordan Poole punch. I think he knows in that moment, looking back, hindsight, he should have made a different decision in any of the situations where he's gotten ejected or suspended, pulled away from his team. I think he knows within himself that he should have made a different decision, but he's not yet been able to show us, show himself that he's been able to control his emotions in the moment and to make a different decision. And I watched this podcast yesterday, and it was truly, truly introspective. He looked within. I think he's totally embarrassed. I think he is hurt and he feels like he let a lot of people down. He let his business partners down. He talked about letting his family, and this is just what he said. He talked about letting his business partners down. He talked about letting his teammates down. Talked about his family, his kids um, down. The people who love him, the people who had to answer questions about him, the people who had to endure abuse about him, his mother. These are the people that I've always thought, Draymond, don't you care about what they think? I've always kind of thought this, but sometimes success, you can kind of move through the ways of success without getting any water on you. Sometimes you're in the water, but if your success is up here, sometimes you just kind of ignore how much you've gotten drenched, you know, on your way up the mountain of success. And I think Draymond's gotten wet. I think his family's gotten wet. His teammates have gotten wet before. But I think they've all just kind of looked back and said, hey, that was worth it because look at where we are now, not understanding how soaked you've gotten in the process. And I think oftentimes, as people, we don't look at, you know, who we're affecting around us on whatever path or place of achievement we're trying to get to, who are we knocking down in the process? Who are we elbowing an accidental trip and fall, an accidental slap in the face? Sometimes you don't pay attention because you're on a mission and on a journey. Sometimes you're blind and you don't really see what's happening around you on the way. A person who's speeding down the freeway is trying to get somewhere and they're not necessarily paying attention to the person they may have startled, person they may have startled who swerved into another lane. It's like, I'm trying to get somewhere and, I don't see you. And that's just kind of a default mindset for a lot of people who don't see other people. They only see their purpose and their place and what they're trying to do, and they don't consider the people around them. And that's in anything. Um, and so the way he talked on his podcast was a full, I mean, it was a mirror. He hid from his 3-year-old daughter. He hid from his kids for 2 days. He said he was in this man cave for 2 days. Nobody knew he was home other than his wife and his baby, his 3-year-old. FaceTimed him. And once she realized via FaceTime, she went and got him. And she just wanted to play, and he was kind of thankful for that because it kind of forced me, okay, now I've got to be accountable, now I've got to be seen, now I've got to explain some things, I can't hide. And so he was thankful for that moment. But the other thing that he said, which I thought was awesome, he talked about what Kevin Durant said. He talked about Kevin Durant saying, he wasn't like that when I was in Golden State and I hope he gets some help. And he indicated that his instinctive reaction was to be bothered and to kind of do a finger point, like pissed off that you said that. But he realized in that moment, and this is what I loved about Draymond, and I think I love about any man who does this, because men are strong, men are sort of perceptive leaders, perceptive protectors. And so when someone you revere, men, um, the physical broad shoulders of a man when he can be vulnerable, those same broad shoulders turn in and be vulnerable to see the hurt. I think that is what my wife and I talk about with men. It is the essence to be so big and so strong and to be vulnerable takes a lot of strength. It broadens the shoulders in my mind of who a man can be. And so when he said that he realized, and it's probably through the help of his counselor or therapist, because he alluded to the fact that he is in therapy, and it wasn't just this reason that this current situation that he was in therapy. But when Kevin Durant said that he needed help, his first instinct was to reject the notion of needing help, and he toggled back to what I guess now he realizes is childhood trauma and what the word help meant to a 15-year-old Draymond Green, and needing help as a child growing up, whether it was, I think, maybe financial help and assistance he alluded to, maybe he and his family needed, and the shame that that brought, the picking on and sort of the bullying that that brought on. Oh, you guys need help. Our kids tease or people tease, when you need help and assistance to live and survive. Lord, the shame of it all. You need help and assistance to live and survive. But talking back to immature mindsets, right? That's just kind of what happens. And so he never really moved past the negative connotation that the word help meant. And so in that moment, in that instance, when Kevin Durant said he needed help, he went to that place of hurt. That's a place of shame. That's a place where it says something's wrong with me. I'm not good enough, right? And so he said that he had to redefine what he internalized the word help meant. That it didn't have to mean anything negative. It didn't have to come with any connection, a connotation of shame. And that it could mean something positive, somebody wanting to help and assist, right? Because Steph Curry is a helper on the court, an assist, right? He's a helper. I'm going to help you get a basket. I'm going to assist you getting in the basket. He had to change his thinking about the word help. And I was like, boom, right? Change your thinking about what a word means or what it has meant to you thus far. Can change your trajectory. I have a difficult time saying that word quickly. So he changed how he absorbed the meaning of the word help. And I was blown away at that. And I was like, God, absolutely, right? It's all in how we interpret the meaning of what someone is saying to us or what they may be doing to us. What meaning are we taking from a situation? And what we need to do in response to whatever meaning whatever meaning we're taking from a situation. If someone says to me, "What made you twist your hair?" Am I internalizing that as some sort of criticism that they don't like the fact that I've twisted my hair and perhaps going on a lock journey? I don't like the way that looks on. What made you do that? Or, hey, what made you do that? Out of curiosity, what made you decide to go on this lock journey? Or what made you decide to go on this lock journey? How am I interpreting what someone is saying to me? And if I don't know that person well enough, if I'm not inside of their mind to be able to determine the feeling tone of how they're giving me that question, I may just instinctively internalize it as something negative, right? And sometimes that's what it's about, knowing a person well enough. I don't know what true relationship Kevin Durant and Draymond Green have. But if Draymond Green questioned it, because I don't think he would question that from Steph Curry. I think that he would internalize that different from Steph Curry because they have a deeper relationship. But in general, if you're not close enough to a person, you may just hear the word without truly understanding the connotation that that person means when they say that word to you. So it's like we have to sort of strip ourselves from sort of the internal trauma meaning of some words. We have to sort of strip any sort of emotional attachment to certain words. We have an emotional attachment to certain words. Black people, we have an emotional attachment to certain words, and we have to turn inward to strip ourselves from the traumatizing association with certain words so that we can free our emotions and our mindset to receive something different so that you can move forward. And I thought that was mind blowing. It unlocked a lot of things for me because I love, as I say quite often, I love sports and I use sports as a lens to understand just kind of broad things in my life. And I loved that he said he had to change how he interpreted the word help. For me, it meant a lot of things. As I said, what words in my life, what do I hear from other people that may trigger me? Because there are sometimes I have conversations with people, somebody may say something to me and I just internalize it in a different way. And I know being in an industry where I am truly, Lord, I am the minority, not minorities in my office. I'm the minority in my office. And I listen to some conversations with sensitive ears because there is not anyone else in my office that looks like me. And so I was like, I appreciate that assist because sometimes certain conversations I internalize them different. I internalize them differently than the rest of the folks in my office. And so it's like, okay, well, what words am I associating from a place of trauma? I just thought, thank you, Draymond. If nothing else, I applaud you for this look inward, this verbal accountability. But he gave me something too, and I hope people look at that podcast that he gave, that introspective, heartfelt podcast, because I do think this is going to be it's a crossroads for him, and I think he understands. He shared some heartfelt sentiment about um, realizing what his kids was going through, realizing what Steph Curry, because even myself, I was like, hey, Steph, are you co-signing this? Are you speaking up against this? Even I had something to say about Steph. I had something to say about the Warriors organization. I've not changed my mind about the Warriors organization. Not changed my mind about that because they could have sat Draymond down a long time ago. Thus and therefore. But other people, other people being hit with stray, I don't want to use the word bullets, but other people being hurt, right? Because of your actions, other people's names taking a hit because of your actions. It kind of makes you do, hey, I can't keep splashing around in the water and not notice if I'm drowning other people. And if that's what's gotten him to his place of success thus far, and the people around him have ridden the coattails of that success, you know, sometimes people don't know that they're drowning around you. Sometimes, you just don't even look at how deep you are in a situation. You don't look at how deep in the water you are with a person. You don't know that your head is just above the water. You just know that you're still breathing and you're in an awesome place. Everything around you looks good. You can still see, you can still function, you can still enjoy, right? But I think this was an eye opener. I think this was the emotional tug that he needed, the people around him needed. Because I think it was sobering. I think this experience for Draymond was sobering, and I think he needed it in order to be the best man he could be at the next phase of his life, the next phase of his career. Because obviously, basketball isn't going to be it for Draymond. I think he's got a future in business, a future in podcasting, a future in broadcasting. And I think that he needed this moment in time to help him be the best Draymond that he can be at the next level, whatever that level is. As father, husband, son. I don't know if he has siblings. Maybe he does, but brother, just as a person. We all need mirrors. We all need awareness. We all need to be accountable to each other. And accountability isn't a bad word. And that's one thing that I think a lot of kids, they think accountability means that they've done something wrong. And it may just be it's something you need to pay attention to. And it's, a lot of times being accountable with something, kids especially have a hard time thinking that it doesn't say something bad about them. And it's not about that. It is how you're interpreting the word. And I think Draymond's effort in this instance, he says he's going to remove the antics, that he can definitely be a better person on the basketball court without the antics. He can certainly still be excellent on basketball court without the antics. I believe that is true because he just doesn't need that. Because Draymond running the offense or the offense running through Draymond, setting up the offense with Draymond. That has nothing to do with antics. Nothing to do with antics. And that part could have been removed from his game a long time ago. But I think he just really needed to see what his antics was costing him and the people around him to really kind of okay, that's not necessary. Let me remove that. So I'm looking forward to seeing Draymond back on the basketball court. I thoroughly enjoyed his podcast, and I think that everyone should check it out because it wasn't just about him. It was just a communicative piece on how to look inward and how to be a better individual, how to be a better person, how to be a better man, how to be a better father, how to be a better husband, how to be a better son, better teammate, better human being. A lot of people don't take that route. A lot of people don't take that approach. It was a humble display of who Draymond is, and it explained to me, and not that I didn't know this before, but why so many people ride for him, why so many people love him as a person, and that the antics don't really describe the human being that he is. Um, the antics don't describe the human being that Draymond Green is. It was just something that he carried, something he felt like he could do, and something he felt like he could get away with. And so many of us, so many kids, if you have kids in your house, you know that your kids are not the antics. You know that your kids are not the things that they do, that so much of who they are is underneath, the antics that they perform, the times that they don't follow the rules, the times that they don't put forth their best effort. We're not all of the bad things that we do. We're not the undesirable things that we do. There's a human being underneath the actions. And so I think the video that he did, the podcast that he did, described the human being underneath the actions and the antics that he had thus far been performing through his career. And so I want to shout out Draymond Green. So, what do we think about Draymond Green and his podcast? Looking forward to seeing him back on the court. Are we looking forward to seeing him back on the court? Of course we are. Maybe some people are not. I know my sister, she does not like Draymond Green, but that's okay. I think that's funny. We kind of have a funny banter. My sister and my cousin and we have a funny banter every time the Warriors play, and I'm always applauding Draymond Green. And yeah, they are not Warrior fans, nor am I. I'm a Draymond Green fan. But what do we think about that? Secrets Podcast. I am Tiffany Gaines. Please hit the like button and the subscribe button. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think of the content of the video? All right. I appreciate your support. Peace.